That looks great. That looks great. Oh my god.
Oh, it's showing up right. Okay,
Yeah.
it's inverted on my screen.
Here, let me make you extra big so everyone can appreciate how much work you put into your thing because you've put in way more work than I did. Holy shit.
Like, man, we're gaming, you know?
We're doing
We
something.
out here.
We out here gaming. Perfect. Great. Awesome. Well, welcome to the my CSM interview week. You are the eighth candidate that I've interviewed, and I think the third CSM member who came from CSM 19. So welcome in.
Awesome.
I think most people know who you are, but for the people who don't, can you just tell the people at home who you are?
Sure. So I am Mick Fightmaster. I've been playing Eve since 2009. I started out as a high sec mission runner for like a year and a half, and then decided one day to check out nullsec. Did that and was like, this is cool for all of like 8 months, and then wormholes came out and started to exist in Eve, and I was like, that's what I want to do now. So I decided to swap things up and go live in wormholes. I've been doing that ever since. I've been a part of I've been a part of Novak, Skyfighters. I've been a part of, gosh, Laserhawks, Hard Knocks, any and everywhere in between. Hammer Holding was like the first corp that I joined that was in there. In wormhole space, I was also part of Rolled Out briefly, so it's been fun. You kind of like seen wormholes through all their iterations so far.
That's awesome. Cool. And what are you currently doing in Eve right now? Because you're kind of a I had a couple people who I was like, hey, I'm interviewing Mick Fightmaster, and like, make sure you don't make him mad because he might evict you. I'm like, he's not gonna do that.
I'm not particularly in the business of evicting people. Yeah, I like to think that there's got to be a good reason to evict somebody, or at least good content to be had. So right now, just enjoying living in a 5-5 pulsar. You know, it's the Novak homeland, and having the opportunity to fly around with some friends of mine that have been friends since 2017, if not longer than that, and enjoy what high class wormhole life has to offer. And of course, representing wormholers in CSM, which has been, basically my second full time job.
I know. I haven't been very active in the Eve, the wormhole UN. I do poke my head in there once in a while when I'm not busy being a dad, a teacher, a streamer, and everything else in between. How has the wormhole UN been for just coming up with ideas and getting feedback from the player base?
Yeah, so it's been surprisingly effective. Like the amount of feedback that I get, whether it's from other players or other CSM members, they'll reach out to me and say, "Hey, this idea sounded really cool. Is this something that we could do like in low sec, in null sec? Do you think like the new player experience would benefit from the addition of X, Y, and Z?" It's been great. We've used it as a means of basically using the that platform to spark conversations with CCP. So we've had the opportunity to really talk with them and say, look at this idea, and then get polls on it and say, look at all of the support behind this idea. Um, I like to think, although I don't know for 100% certainty, but I like to think that one of the results of C4s now having these wandering K spaces is partially a result of the 80% plus support behind it that we got from Hol Yuen when it was proposed.
Yeah, no, I was looking through all the like your list of things that has occurred since you've been a CSM member. I know when we had like a little chit chat before the stream, you were going to ask me a bunch of questions. But a lot of the things that have happened this year in regards to like wormhole space have been hugely positive from what I've heard from a lot of people. When there was like the drifter changes, when we went from like doing marauders only to now needing capitals, my group and I, we
Mhm.
were a little bit upset, but now since then we were loving the change.
Yeah. How was that like adaptation process?
For us, it was definitely like a change of like, okay, so what are we putting on grid? What sort of risk are we willing to put out there in order to maximize our return on investments? Um, and so far, it's been fairly positive. We did have a couple of new bros that basically left our wormhole after they just finished training into a golem, and then suddenly golems were less than useful for doing like the drifter, because now, well, we're going to have dreads on on grid, we might as well just not have like the golems there because they barely apply to
Mm.
any of the anything less than a battleship. But
Yeah.
for the people who have never done dreads or never thought they were going to do dreads, suddenly I have 10 new dread pilots inside my C5, and they're all loving that they get to play with the big toys. So for the more enfranchised people, it was really, really cool to see them wanting to fly the big stuff. And it was a little sad for me to see some of the newer guys that we brought into our C5 group being like, well, now this doesn't feel like a place for me, if they were specifically trained into the golem.
Hmm. Did you happen to follow up with them to see like where they landed? Did they stay in wormhole space? Did they go to different classes? Did they, move to other areas of Eve? What did they end up doing?
Um, the one guy, his name's Cal. He just took a break. He took a break from Eve. He's like, well, this
Mm.
this this was too big of a change for me. He does pop in still, and he's flying Logi for us. Right now when he does log in. And then a lot of the people they're just, yeah, they're basically just like, okay, I'm going to go do something else for a while I start training into either paladins or vargers, and then I'll come back and start doing the crabbing stuff. Or they stuck around and
Okay.
they're supporting us with rolling holes, finding fights, or just being there just to support us when we're doing like PvP sort of stuff.
Cool.
Yeah. Um, what is the thing that you're most proud of that you've accomplished, or you feel like you've accomplished being on the CSM 19 this year?
There's probably two things. The one that I always forget about, but was actually pretty big in order for like bringing high class capital brawls and making it more accessible was suggesting that the Rapture sets be added to the LP stores. I remember I forgot to put that on my forum post, but that was like a pretty big deal because they were event exclusive up until that point, and the prices were basically saying you can only have a high class brawl regen fax fit if you are Laserhawks, HK, MSF, Novak, like one of the big dogs, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So removing that barrier I thought was really good to start. I still don't like the current state of faxes. I think it's a little too brainless, if I'm being honest. Like there's not a lot of like skill expression involved. It's just kind of do you have enough cap regen or do you not? And can you make sure that you keep it that's it? So I don't like that. I would like to continue to work on that. And the other one I think that I didn't realize until after the fact was now that we have the less than 1 hour EOL indicator on the UI, we actually have opened up EOL holes to become this entirely new wave of content that like has never been really been accessed before. Too often we see EOL holes, we go, well, I don't know if it's got 30 seconds or 3 hours, so I'm not going to risk it. Now we see it and we know, oh, it's got more than an hour on it. Cool, I can go down here and I know that I've got at least an hour to go see if I've got, additional content waiting for me out in the, the side chains or whatever, which I think is probably one of the biggest things.
Yeah, I like seeing the new UI thing. I was always, for the longest time, I was like, oh, it's nice to have some sort of opaqueness to just like that text block, where it's just like, oh, it's like it goes into dangerous space, or it goes into like deadly space, or like shows like the amount of like mass being reduced in less than clear terms, just because I'm the player that I likes to learn things. Like I'm very much like a Dark Souls guy where I'll go and like do a deep dive into like the lore just by reading the text of something. So I like that sort of content. But now that I'm
Mm.
a little bit more used to the new stuff, it does make it very clear, make it very it's like I'm able to make a quick decision right away. And that EOL change was so nice. Like I didn't realize that the difference between knowing it's between 4 and 1 hours to being less than 1 hours, it made traveling through K space, sorry, J space so much easier for me and my group. Like we find like a high sex like static out of our C5, and it's like, oh well, shit, it's EOL. Well, we can't bring anything through this. To now being like, okay, well guys, we have 4 hours still on this. Let's go. We got we got shit we got to bring in. So that was actually like a really
Exactly.
nice quality of life change for sure.
Yeah, and it's the one that I keep hearing from folks. Like when I'm having these meetings with all these groups, it's one of the first things that they say they love. They love the UI UX change. Like having the 1 hour EOL is huge, and it's great to hear that it's actually been something as small as that has been that impactful.
Um, I live inside of C5. As a it's probably pretty obvious. How has reception been for people who've been living in C4 wormholes and C2 wormholes with the recent changes?
Yeah. So C4s have seen probably the most love they've seen the last decade in the past year. They're getting wandering case spaces. They got the entirety of their combat sites completely reworked so that they're not, spawning out in Narnia when you have, a next wave or whatever. Um, it's the C4 groups that I've spoken with have really enjoyed the changes. The C2s, admittedly, have been less impacted, um, just because C2 ISK is never really where you go,
Yeah,
right?
for
To
sure.
make money. It's kind of like a just a way to get exposed to what it's like to combat sleepers. Um, but if I've got some talks coming up later this weekend actually with a couple C2 groups where I'm hoping, and they're more new bro focused, so I'm hoping to have an idea like how did this impact, the new bro experience, like compared to what it had been like, and see kind of where it lands from there. Um, but yeah, C4 groups largely love it, and the thing that they love the most is now that they have the case spaces, they're saying, oh yeah, scanning C4s is actually worth it now. So we have way more people coming into our area of space rather than just seeing a C4 and just closing their hole.
That's awesome. Yeah, like I know a couple guys who live in C4 wormholes and they've really appreciated the increase in ISK per hour from like just again not having to go from like like shooting 1,400 kilometers away or whatever it was I to now being like, oh well, this is something that I can actually manage and it's actually worthwhile for me to sit here and grind a little bit of ISK. Like a few years ago or like a year ago, like you like C4 holes were never farm holes, right? Like they were nothing but just like, oh, I have two stacks instead of one stack if I were like in a C5 or a C3, for example. But now people are actually out in space in C4s, actually trying to make a little bit of income using blue loot, which is really sweet.
Yeah.
Uh, one question I do have to ask: is there a plan, or would you like to see an improvements to like C1 wormholes or C2 wormholes, or is that forever to be relegated to just being like that's where the poor wormholers go, or the guys who are like super duper new bros?
The super duper newbies. I, I personally don't have a plan exclusive to C1 and C2. The plans that I'm bringing forward for the second term are ones that I want to impact all classes of wormhole space. So the hope is that with these changes, these potential changes coming in, we would see new games like gameplay styles evolve from C1s and C2s that have typically been relegated as like the new bro areas into something more vibrant. So nothing exclusive, but they should be impacted if things, continue on the path that they're on.
with
Fingers crossed.
with the current sea or like wormhole play styles, what is something that you feel like is very lacking in wormhole space that is preventing from people to moving in to J space?
Ooh, that's a good question. Uh, a lot of times it's let me ask you this. Do you mean moving within JSpace or moving into from another area of space, like low sec or high sec?
Yeah, so like what is something that would just drive a person who's high sec, maybe they've been playing the game for maybe a month, 2 months, 6 months, and suddenly they feel like, hey, I want to own my own bits of space, but low sec and null sec is just too hard for me to do that, and I'm not comfortable dealing with high sec war decks. So I want to move
Hmm.
into wormholes. What is a playstyle that you think that is missing right now in wormhole space that would be a way to get people to move from high sec into maybe a low class wormhole?
It's a My answer's a little bit of a loaded answer.
Yeah, it's all good.
I I think the one of the things that's like the biggest thing that's preventing people from trying out wormholes is that there's nothing happening in wormholes or exclusive to wormholes that is unique enough to push a player away from an area of space that is continuing to get iterative attention. And by that I mean, look at all the stuff that's happened in nullsec in the last 2 years. Look at how it's evolved, how much attention it's gotten, all the balance changes, the shaping that's been happening over, especially with the new SOV hubs and all of the all of the upgrades and all of the things that you can now do, customizations, etc. That all happens in an area of space that is getting a lot of love and attention. And it's hard to say to someone, hey, go away from the area of space that's getting all the love and attention to one that's just got like QOL and UI UX and decade long complaints finally addressed.
Yeah,
You know, like there has to be something to motivate a player to look at wormholes and say, that's cool. I'm I'm going there. That's where I want to go. And pull away from the gameplay style that they're interested in and go into one that they might be uncomfortable with, but are interested because it's something new and unique and is getting the attention it deserves.
yeah. Like I've been living inside. Like I when I went from living in nullsec to living inside of it, so to owning the C3 to now owning my own C5. Like nothing has changed besides like the introduction of like, hey, you need a dread now in order to maximize your income inside of your farm hole or whatever. It would be really nice to have some sort of thing that would increase the uniqueness and the drive to get people to move into wormhole space more than just if you are a small corp, this is the place where you won't get shit on by a larger low sec block or null sec block.
Yeah, no sinos is a really big plus for
Oh my
those who
god.
continue to get clowned on by those large nullsec blocks. Understandably so, right?
Yeah, like they have the infrastructure, and that's just like a reality people have to deal with in K space. But like it is really nice knowing that I can get into a fight with another group and just not expect there to be 50 redeemers showing up suddenly.
Right. Yeah. Oh, let's not talk about blops.
You're right. Um,
Those things.
what would you what I know like as a CSM member you can't be like, hey CCP, this is a cool idea that I have implemented now. But what sort of things would you like to see brought into wormhole space that could be make it a little bit more unique or could bring people into like want to try it out more than just, hey, I could make more money somewhere else?
Yeah, so I've been playing around with ideas for over a year now, right? And I think the most impact we could really have is find ways to introduce medium conflict drivers or medium content generators. Some of the ones that have come up in the Wormhole UN that I particularly like are the infamous JHub that was originally sponsored, I think, by Mr. Mark Resurrectus, now CCP Jotun. I would like to see something like the Granary, which Auroras from Phantom Space had proposed, in our in Wormhole UN and actually gave a very good presentation and included an attached PowerPoint and whatnot, which I really like.
That's awesome.
Um, Another one is the secondary static generator, which is colloquially referred to as the nullsec generator, because a lot of people would like to hunt out in nullsec from their home holes. And I think those like ideas are things that would be really good and to allow corporations to start to express their corp identity within their home holes. Even if it's something as simple as naming a system, right?
Yeah.
Now you have entered rage. It would just be so like something as small as that can be such a sense of pride for a group that they would want to defend it. So I
Yeah.
think that would really be my focus is, and of course, like getting support from other CSM is another component of this because it's easier when you have people who are supporting you and echoing your ideas rather than just trying to be the one odd man out in the room. So I've also been spending a lot of time doing that and then garnering support from CCP as well.
It's awesome. Um, one thing that I can envision, I don't know if this is true or not, with like the medium conflict drivers inside wormhole space, it's just a larger block would just find the conflicts driver and just roll everybody else out. It has the wormhole UN talked about that being something that just a small group would just block everybody else out from, or is there like a creative way of getting around that?
Yeah, do you mean in the sense of like doing hole
Yeah,
control
whole
or
control. Yeah.
yeah, I got you. Um, there there has been some chatter about it, nothing that I have like completely solidified on yet. I like the idea of the more you are utilizing some area of like conflict driver, the more wandering connections you have spawn, like making it harder and harder to do hull
Yes.
control, just because it's some instability or rift, whatever created from the use of this J hub is now causing well, whatever. Like
Yeah,
you could do
yeah,
something cool with the lore with it.
yeah,
The drifters are here, whatever. Like,
yeah.
um, I would want it to be so that people would still be able to maintain home field advantage. I think that's kind of the point, right? Like if you want to come in and you want to mess with something in somebody's home, that should be hard to do. But also not make it so that you're like completely isolated. Like you can't just close yourself off from the world.
Yeah, like I know I have a couple of friends I made in the past couple months where they're heavy multi-boxers, and they've told me about sort of some of the ideas that the Eve Uni or sorry, not Eve Uni, the Wormhole UN has brought up, and they're just like, yeah, we would just completely stomp on this with our EOS man fleet or whatever. So it would be I'm just worried that it would be like, hey, here's this cool thing that we're going to add, and it's just going to be a select few dudes who are just going to just like roll everybody else out of it. But if it's a big enough content generator, and we do have like those spawning new holes to make it so that people are going to be driven towards it, then I think it would go off really, really well.
Yeah, and I feel like multi-boxing fleets are much more balanced now that there's been that shift away from like sentry drones being able to put like a 10 wing of EOSs into a singular painter, and the fact that you can also hit sentry drones way more easily now. You can actually track them with large weapons platforms. So if you did want to like defang an EOS, you could do it with relative ease, rendering them pretty inert. So I think those multi-boxy fleets were some of the most oppressive. CCP it seems like CCP was in agreement in the sense that we saw some changes surrounding drone comms specifically. But there's still a lot of opportunity for multi-box fleets that's more difficult to do, but still just as effective for non-drone based non-EOS comps.
Awesome.
Triglavian comps, for example. Triglavian comps
Yeah.
are really easy to multi-box and not super fun to be on the receiving end of.
Yeah, that was my goal this year, was to make 100 billion ISK and then inject into 15 Lashaks and then just go around
Ooh.
and punching holes. But Uh,
Destroy everyone.
well, things got in the way, and you know what? That's probably for the best.
Fair
uh,
enough. Fair enough.
with the things that have happened, like the recent changes that have been that you've said have been really good starts. Is there anything on that list that you would like to further iterate on, or are you ready to just move on to the next thing in order to improve wormhole space?
I want to shift away. Like this first term was great. Tons of QOL, tons of complaints addressed, a lot of balance stuff, UI UX. Like it's been very effective, but it hasn't been fun.
Yeah.
I want term two to be focused on fun. And so I want to take like namely those three ideas and turn them like the granary, the J hub, and the secondary static generator, and I want to turn those into a reality. That's what I want to focus on.
Would have you heard or have you had any resistance from other CSM members or CCP about introducing these sort of medium conflict drivers?
Um, I wouldn't call it like resistance. It's been more so like healthy challenge. I'm a big believer in the challenge
For
process.
sure.
So if someone like throws out an idea, it's like, okay, let's talk about it. Like and just start poking holes in it. Let's chat about how this would work, the mechanics behind it. You know, what prevents someone from doing X, Y, Z and go all the way down the list, right? Just to try and figure out what the best most balanced way is to introduce something like this and then use that as the baseline for the proposal. And so that's what I've been doing a lot with CCP and CSM is like, hey, let's talk about this idea. What does it look like? How would this work from a design perspective? Is this like even something that's realistic? Are we just, are we being silly? Should we focus on something else? Is there a part of this we can take? And then just trying to find ways to put that together. I also really want to find a reason for wormhole moons to be good.
Oh my god,
I
please, yes.
I I have no idea why the supposedly most dangerous area of space that has absolutely no asset safety has for some reason high sec moons. That is a problem, in my opinion,
Yeah,
and that there should be good moons in like every class of wormhole, even if it's just one good moon. But so people can move in and be like, oh, you know what? This is gonna be my little Rourke empire, and I'm gonna mine the crap out of this moon. Like I want people to be. That's an exciting thing to like be able to do in wormhole space. Maybe we'll get gas huffing drones. Who knows? But it would just be cool to see Rorquals out in space again. They just don't exist right now, and that's a shame because it is an area of space. I'll sum it up simply. Nullsec is an area of space where the idea is to be able to grow wide and grow your empire outward. Wormhole space is the epitome of the space where you should be able to grow as tall as you want because all you have is the one system. And what I want is for people to see that potential and then to expand on it.
that's perfect. Yeah, like um luckily for me, my C5 corp has grown from being three. I guess it went from three dudes to just myself to now I have 200 characters under my corp name or whatever. And we're starting to run out of things to do from the home hole, and we're now we're now feeling more comfortable doing the roaching thing. But I
Mm.
do really like to just close the hole and have some sort of activity that we can do as a group, with of course the risk of being rolled into, right? Um,
Sure, yeah.
so we do have a couple industrialists inside my corp, and one big gripe that they have is just needing to haul stuff in because we can't get the good ooze or whatever, or the good rocks in wormhole space. Like we're basically like shoehorned into like mass quantities of gneiss, for example. Um, it would be
Yeah, that's
nice.
it.
Yeah, it would be really nice to have like some way to cater to the industrialist crowd besides just really low taxes.
Wouldn't it be cool if you could install an upgrade in your J-Hub that would allow you to spawn certain types or maybe a special type of ore or do something like
Yes.
terraform a moon.
Oh my
So you
god,
actually had
yes.
something to make your industrialist. Yeah, you see, like that sort of stuff is the sort of stuff I want to be focused on for term two. Like these types of ideas shouldn't be so grandiose that they can't be something that get executed on. Maybe it doesn't happen during my tenure, but if you can plant the seed, then that does way more in enabling that sort of future in wormhole space than it does to just say, oh, that's too difficult. We won't even bring it up.
That's awesome. That makes me very excited. um we've been talking a lot about wormhole stuff. I know you're full ass wormhole, and I love that. I love
Hmm.
that we do have a CSM member currently, and hopeful applicants for next year to be the next, well, the running whole ass champion of the CSM team. Have you put in, have you had any input or things you wanted to change about other areas of space that would impact more people than just wormholers?
Yeah, I think that while we have made some change to like the projection issue, we'll call it, it's still not solved. Realistically, that's just something that's going to have to be a conversation every year because there's always we're Eve players. Like we find ways to game the system, we find ways to change things up, we find things to make, ways to make it work for our advantage, right? And there is like especially, and I think you've had a chance to talk with Mr. Young Puke the second, correct?
Yep, he was my first one.
Oh, wow, what a banger to start with. Yeah,
Right.
he's great. He he's been experiencing this firsthand with Frat's crusade into lowsec space where they've like lowsec has had to basically you know, put aside all their animosity for each other and try to band together to deal with this, behemoth of frat coming in and going for their moons. And when I talk to him and I see the examples of, these these guys in frat just being able to come back after being killed in a nightmare 5 minutes later, all the way from 4-tac H, I'm sitting here scratching my head like, all right, that's a problem, right? Like they
Yeah,
just moved across like half the map in 5-10 minutes. That's crazy. Like I thought we were supposed to be fixing that, and so there's counterplay options now, which is good, but I still don't think it's fixed. My whole point is like, of course, I love the fatigue idea. I think blops is like a real problem because of their fatigue bonuses, or their bonuses to not getting fatigue. They could basically have become the de facto response fleet for all of nullsec. Um, but I think that whenever you are doing something to subvert geography, then there should be some sort of consequence. In wormhole space that's taking up mass on a connection, and that's polarization. Those are the consequences of your choice to traverse and bypass geography. And when it comes to ansiblexes, that doesn't exist. So I would like to see something that introduces more consequences for the active decision of choosing to subvert geography.
yeah. Like for my personal experience, I've been slowly getting to more dread brawls through my friends in Abazon. And we had a fight against Absolute Order and Dawn's Lights. They put down like a consensus Astrahos that they were hoping to do stuff out of, and we went there and we bashed it, and we were going to shut it down. We invited a couple groups to come and hang out, and then Fraternity showed up with over 200 people, like just out of the blue, and it sort of just just turned into just like a big nullsec fight, dread fight essentially. So I think like for the K space plebs like Blopsine and Sinoing and there and like Anisplexes, there has to be some sort of change in order to keep low sec, like for people primarily in low sec. Like obviously null secers should be able to come in and out, and so they should be able to take advantage of it being close to their area of space, but they shouldn't be able to cross the
Mhm.
map in 20 minutes.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. There should be advantages to owning, maintaining, and defending your space. Um, but I still think that there needs to be consequences for the decisions that you make when it comes to subverting geography.
With regards to like ship balance in wormhole space, I know the cenotaph is a huge force multiplier. Obviously there's changes
Yeah.
coming. I'm like I know you're under like a whatchamacallit or a NDA, but like I'm guessing things are going to come, right?
Here's what I'll say. Thankfully, the NDA does not preclude me from saying things that I have said. So I'll tell you what I have said. I have said that the the cenotaph is not a game changer. It is a game ender. And when they appear, it kills the fun. It's over. You either decide that you're going to feed your fleet then and there, or you slowly you find a way to exfil, right, and minimize losses. You could be having the world's most fun little shield brawl in the world, and then when three centaphs show up, you know that you've lost because of how oppressive their power is. Um, I have told CCP, and this sentiment has been echoed by at least three other CSMs. So four CSMs total have mentioned this to CCP that the issue has nothing to do with the Cenotapht's survivability and everything to do with its ability to do the potential DPS of like 2.5 dreads.
Yeah,
Like it's
I
just insane. Um, so the hope is like I'm hoping that we'll see some kind of change, but obviously anything outside of that I wouldn't be able to comment on.
For sure. Yeah. No, totally get it. I there was a Reddit post last week about high second gankers using cenotaphs now to gank like freighters and jump freighters now. I'm like, that's wild, but it makes sense from a
Yep.
numbers perspective. So I like things are going to change obviously for that ship. I just hopefully it doesn't go the way of like I don't know, maybe like the Mamba or whatever, where it just loses all of its credibility and just like it just turns into like, oh, my hanger queen that has long
Yeah.
that's a long past
I mean,
its effectiveness.
we had conversations on Wormhole UN. We probably had about a half-hour long conversation about let's talk about how to deal with the cenotaph. And the group came to a consensus of the nerfs that we would consider to be, appropriate for the cenotaph. This was all prior to the change, and I did share these ideas with CCP directly. They made the decision that they did, and that doesn't mean that the fight is over. It just means that we have to continue to get support and demonstrate. So if you have BRs where the cenotaph exists and you see that it does more damage than your Naglfar fleet issue on other ships, then you should probably send it my way so I can add it to the long pile of BRs that I've got that show just how a game changing, a game ending, you will, if you will, the cenotaph is.
Yeah. Always the nerfs. Can we just buff the other 99 hulls? Is there something in Wormhole space ship wise that you would like to see a change besides the cenotaph, obviously?
I would love to see the a change to the T3s, T3Cs. I'd
Yeah.
love a shield, like a shield equivalent of a Nestor. I think that would be super cool. But like realistically, balance change stuff, we have no good, and I'll say good in terms of able to do enough damage. Um, like medium gun brawly AC platform. Like the Loki was it, and then it got hit real hard, and now it's just kind of like, well, there's no medium AC platform that's good in armor. Um, People who used to fly with AFK might say, "Oh, but the armor slep is good." No, it's not. It's not good. Stop trying to make it good. But I'd love to see some balance passes to T3Cs, extra bonuses to E-War, maybe like a damp subsystem for the Proteus, or like a TD disruption or some sort of weapon disruption for the Legion. Stuff like that I think would be really, really cool.
With Gia just said cataclysmics are kind of smelly. Are you happy with how like the wormholes effects are right now across all the different types of wormholes, or do you feel like there's one wormhole in particular that is missing? It's like a little bit extra oomph to make it more special or more sought after.
I mean, they all kind of have their niche, you know, like they all have their positives, their benefits. They all have their trade-offs. I don't know if there's anything in particular that I'd be like, oh, this is one that's
Jesus.
particularly bad. Cataclysmics are bad. Uh, they are not great, but I don't know if I would seek to change anything.
Cool.
Definitely not add the scene. Definitely not add the breacher pod to the Magnetar bonus. Definitely do not do that. Or add the Tholos breacher pod to um, the Wolf Raid effect. No, do not do that.
Damn. We just got rated in by Gideon with 152 people. So hi everybody. This is
Oh,
Mick
hello.
Fightmaster. This is his lovely face, very handsome. Um,
Oh,
so
you
we're
honor me, good sir.
oh, of course, one handsome man to another. Yeah, we're doing CSM interviews. Mick Fightmaster, he is the whole ass wormhole candidates for this year, and he's just bringing up some cool things that he's done this year and some cool things he's hoping to add for next year. This year was the boring year, apparently. Next year is going to be the fun year, and I look forward to it.
Yeah, this year I'd call it the cleanup year. You know, we had
Yeah,
a lot of tech debt. We had a lot of things we had to get sorted. Now that it's sorted, let's go have some fun.
cool. Um, Regarding a little bit of fun with like, oh, I forgot what I was going to say. It just fell out of my mouth. Shit. Um, oh,
Wormhole
evictions.
effects.
Wormhole
Oh,
effects.
evictions. Yeah.
Moving over to evictions, how do you feel like if evictions are in wormholes right now? I know that's a very scary thing for a newer player. It's just like you will lose everything if you do move into a wormhole, and some sweaty EOS man fleet comes in and they see you as an easy target. Do you feel like evictions are in a good place right now? Is there something that you want to change about them to make them less oppressive to newer players, or is there something that you like to see changed?
I Evictions are always tough, right? Because the slightest balance change could turn the odds too drastically in favor of either the attackers or the defenders. I do think that currently, of course, it will depend on the class of wormhole and the number of characters you have and the type of assets that you have. But I think in general, um, when it comes to evictions, the attackers will predominantly have the advantage. You know, they get to choose when they come in, they get to choose how many people they bring in typically. And if they know your group and they've done their homework, they know how many people they'll need in order to get the job done. And so I do think that there should be ways for the defenders to try and I guess, buff their defenses during active eviction scenarios. I've talked about a few different ones with CCP and with other wormhole groups. There have even been some ideas that have been posted in the Wormhole UN. I've brought these up to CCP. Like I said, though, it's one of the things that's really, really difficult to balance. Um, and so I'm not sure how we would balance that, but they are, you know, it is something that's actively being discussed.
That's good. Yeah, like I do have somebody threatening to evict me right now for my C5. It's not a very serious threat, but it's just something that's on the back like on the back of my head, just being like, okay, so what are some things I can do in order to get ready for it? Because
Mm.
they can roll into me whenever, and then the the shit's already in the fan, and it's too late to do anything else besides just hunker down and get some other stuff. Evict them first is the answer. Yes, fight back.
Just boom, counter evict.
Yeah,
A classic, a tried and true classic.
I think that's happened a couple times. Oh, you're roughing my structures. I'm roughing your structures.
Yeah, yeah, that happened in that was the second, well, the second actual eviction, the third eviction attempt of Rage, led again by another case-based group. The initiative, they were HK and Friends was evicting TD Sin, and As a result, TTSyn called in their friends from the initiative to go evict HK as a result. And I remember sitting on comms and hearing the conversation like, well, do we go? Do we not? Like, do we full commit? And everyone's like, yep, pack up your freighters. We're full committing TTSyn. Like, pack up everything you want, and we're not leaving. And now, they got the job
This is
done.
our hole
And it was a
now.
fantastic fight.
That's awesome.
Fantastic fight.
Sweet. And I try to ask this question from like for different people. For like me as a somebody who does a lot of small gain NPSI, doing some like small to medium wormhole fights. What would you consider to be a good wormhole fight? If you were just to like have your dream wormhole fight, what would that look like?
My dream wormhole fight? Gosh, I don't know. I've had so many good wormhole fights. D- we- d- my dream wormhole fight would be some sort of fight where there's like three different major components of a fight happening at the same time. So you've got like the big brawl that's happening in the middle, and then you've got like a support wing that's out the side, like off to the side, that's like mitigating their logistics or their support, and then you've got like an anti-tackle wing that's like roaming around, just zooming around, and like Kisriels or Slepners or Cinnaballs, whatever, and they're just like trying to pick off the support and stuff. Then you've got the group that's like guarding the support. Like I like the multifaceted fights. That's my dream fight where the amount of coordination required is incredibly high. And so the difficulty to execute is high, but if you do, then you're incredibly effective. And in wormhole fights, things can change on a dime. One extra Balgorn, one extra Widow, a single Blackbird at 100 can completely change the outcome of a fight. And so being able to see that level of like skill expression and individual pilots is where wormholes really thrive. And like any fight where that sort of stuff happens and you have to change your win condition as a result is like I love that. That's so fun.
Oh yeah, 100%. I One thing that I always tell about people who are thinking about going to wormhole space is just like your individual choices matter significantly more than if you were to be like a nullsec, well, like a line member. Like your choices of what you bring into your wormhole, your skill plan, your fleet's doctrine, all these things have so much more gravitas than just like, oh, you're going to be flying your, I don't know, your vulture or whatever, your 1500th vulture in this giant tie-dye fuckfest. It's
Yeah, enjoy
like,
hitting F1 every 5 minutes.
yeah, it's kind of, yeah, it's really nice to like have these smaller, more intimate fights with other groups, and it does make them a little bit more memorable for me. Like I've had the opportunity to experience my third like quarter trillion esque dread brawl the other week, and it was really cool. But
Sick.
the things that I remember more so are the small fights that I have with my wormhole friends. They seem a lot more stressful, and they seem a lot more fun after you look back on it.
Yeah, yeah. It's funny like a small little like wing of boosters in those big fights can have a huge impact, Like it's cool to see.
Yeah, things we remember is getting dumpstered by MSF. Yeah, 100%. Yeah, we got backscanned in by Forsaken Feud the one night, and we weren't watching our entrance. We thought we closed it up all good, and then they brought in a giant fleet and clapped our C5 C5 crabbing dreads. It was a very fun fight, and we learned a lot. But yeah, it was definitely memorable for sure. Oh,
Yeah.
oh my God. Kim has a question. We'll wait for him to ask his question. For somebody who's in a very high leadership position, what would you say to somebody who's thinking about getting into wormhole space for the first time?
Uh, don't be afraid to die. Like, wormhole space is scary because when you die, like you end up in K space and you have no idea like how to get back in. Don't be afraid to die. Like go in, have like a scanner alt or use a scanning ship like a T3C and just go in and check it out. Like if you see something, take the bait, try it out. Use those opportunities to learn from your mistakes. And as you do that more and more, you'll find out like how to recognize if it's bait, how to be able to bait yourself, and how to start having a lot of fun.
I'm trying not to make the very obvious Bates joke. Um, um, I no, but we're not gonna ask Mick. Does he like the band Imagine Dragons? Jesus Christ, Imagine dragging my nuts across your chin. Um, dude,
I don't even get it. Am I
uh,
supposed to like them?
no, it's
What's the
like
mean?
uh have you ever seen a mind goblin?
I have not.
Mind gobbling these nuts.
Ah, there it
Yeah,
is.
there we go.
There it is.
On that note, does anybody have any really good questions for Mick? I know I did advertise this to my group. Like this is going to be a little bit of a town hall, but does anybody have any good questions for Mick besides making the very obvious Bates jokes? If not, do you have any closing comments you'd like to do, Mick?
I think like for me the biggest thing is like engage me. Yeah, like if you're whether you're in wormhole space or not, engage me. Get on the wormhole UN, put proposal threads up, talk to me. If you know a group of like even if it's a group of 5 dudes that's in wormhole space and they're not in wormhole UN, get them in there. We're looking to have as much like comprehensive representation as we can. The more people that we're able to represent and demonstrate to CCP that this is a good thing, get them in there. Get them in there, and so I can use that as proof that this is something that wormholers want, not just wormholers that live in, fours, fives, and sixes, but ones that live in ones, ones that live in threes, groups that live in twos. We want to be able to demonstrate that. Go out to the forum, check out my forum posts, leave a comment if you've got a question. The forum is also the best way to get like an invite to the Wormhole UN. There's an active invite on there. So yeah, just get on there and engage me. I make myself accessible to anyone who makes the time to ask for it. So yeah, just don't be afraid to ask.
Awesome. Okay, we're now getting good questions. Cool. I know
Okay.
you're the whole ass wormhole candidates. Are there any other good wormhole candidates you would also like to see on the CSM?
Um, there weren't any that stood out to me at first glance. I think when I took a look, there was one from Laserhawks, one from Death Legion of Capybaras, and I think one from um, Kitchen Sinkhole. I haven't had a chance to chat with any of those like candidates yet, one on one or even in a group setting, so I wouldn't be able to like necessarily recommend them. But I think at the end of the day, it's what you're going to want from any CSM representative, not just like a wormholer, but someone that's on the CSM is just the ability to collaborate, and the ability to listen and represent your interests. And yeah, that's the whole reason why I'm here. Um, I've had a year now to where I can establish those relationships, especially at CCP. So, if I'm able to get a term two, I'm able to hit the ground running. There's no lead up time. There's no queuing for logistics. There's no red tape I have to go through. I can just start. The second the election results come out, I'm in there. Term two is started. There's no waiting around for things to kick off. So I think that's really like the one of the other big things that kind of like sets me apart from the other groups.
Perfect. Cool. Um, Oris is saying, what does Mick think about the issue of capital accumulation in an MMO like Eve that makes it harder and harder over time for new bros to catch up with older players?
Accumulation or proliferation? Because I feel like capitals are more accessible nowadays, especially with like the revamp to the dread costs that we've seen.
I think he's
Proliferation is.
I think he's talking as in like ISK or Plex or just assets in
Oh,
general.
okay. I got you. I was like, are we talking about caps? Like, I think like every um It is harder to be a new bro today, and it will continue to be a new bro tomorrow with how much ISK is in the game currently. Uh, I was shocked when I saw that my typical like nano oracle that has no special fittings, just like T2 mods and like faction crystals, now costs 200 mil. I think like that was really surprising to me. Uh, it would be really cool if there was some kind of way to not let I don't want to separate classes of wormholers so that new bros for whatever reason get like 10% more ISK on every bounty or anything like that. But it would be cool to see if there was a way to have some sort of system, not the BRM. The BRM is not what I would ever like support, but a way to sort of manage how the faucets work, um, based on like a typical supply and demand. So it's almost like a living system in terms of the value of things. If there's a lot of blue loot getting sold, maybe blue loot's worth a little bit less. If there's no blue loot getting sold, maybe it's worth a little bit more. But it's just hard. It's just really hard to be a new bro today to try and get into that space without credit card swiping.
Yeah,
I
like
feel like a lot of new bros today feel like they have to.
I have a couple of friends. They're trillionaires. Like the one guy, he's really old money, and he flashed his liquid ISK, not just his assets, but I think he had 4 trillion ISK or something stupid. And I'm just like,
Oh my
how do you
goodness.
not just own literally everything in the game? Like it's crazy, just the amount of money that comes from like the casino era, and that's still sort of
Mm.
proliferating throughout the game. I do feel really bad for a couple of my new bro friends who I've brought into the C5 to try to get them like a jump start, because like, hey, you're a really cool dude, I really want to teach you how to make a lot of money in the game so you can go do super stuff with the rest of my friends. But it's, yeah, some of the stuff is just sort of getting more and more out of reach for the person who started in 2024, 2025 versus the people who started all the way back in 2008.
Yeah. 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 It's tough. I mean, even like with when I was grinding those high sec missions, I was like, this sucks, dude. Like I want to do anything else. Like I can getting a Raven Navy issue was like a 6 month grind. Like it just took forever. And uh yeah, part of me is like the whole point of this being an MMO is to be able to rely on your community. And I think especially the larger groups do a decent job with that. Um, like even the expert systems, which is like a whole another can of worms to begin with. But when it comes to like the expert systems, big alliances can accumulate those, and then when they have new bros come in, they said, "Oh, well, I don't have the skills for this ship." They can hand them an expert system and say, "You're still you do now. Come fly with us. You know, come get out there. Come get in space. You know." They can hand it out and they can play the game, which I think is great. I don't. Well, this is yet another can of worms. But like, I don't like the Magic 14. I don't like where it sits at. I don't like the fact that people have to pay, $40, $60 just to train enough skills to be able to sit in ships and fit them up the way they should be fit. I think that's unfun gameplay mechanics. Would love to do something to change that, but we could probably talk about that for an entire another hour if we wanted to.
I know, yeah. Someone just asked like, what do you think about the Magic 14? I think I looked at it the
Oh, there
other
you go.
night. It was like 72 days or whatever to completely max train like Magic 14, and you're not training any of the fun skills. It's completely, it's garbage. Like, but I know we're
Yeah.
sort of coming to the end of like that hour long chit chat. Would you like, people are coming up with like really good questions now? Do you want to keep on
Yeah.
going? I'm awesome, great,
Yeah.
perfect, awesome.
Bring them on.
How are wormholes not just end game PvP, but places where less skilled and organized players can also enjoy?
Hmm. I think that largely depends on your group, your play style, and the type of class you choose to set up in. If if you want to set up in a smaller area, then that's like a great spot for like a little group or a lower class holes. Like if you want to set up in a C2 or C3, even some C4s, you can set up in there and be able to enjoy wormhole space without having to worry about connecting to, a 100-man Laserhawks fleet or something like that. And you can enjoy that. In fact, one group Silence. They live in a C4, and they're smaller, but they're incredibly effective at what they do. There's a lot of knowledge in that group, and they just go out and they have a blast.
Yeah, like I feel like the skills you need in order, because there is what's it called when you go back and forth through a wormhole really quick. Oh my god, my brain's fried.
Polarization.
Yeah, polarization. Because there is polarization, there are unique things that you need to keep in mind when you are going through like doing like a fight on a hole. I feel like there's different skills involved with that. To call high class, or sorry, just wormholes in general, just like really end game PvP, I think that makes it sound scarier than it can be. I feel like with wormholes in general, you just have to think about more things than you would in like you're fighting on like a 1DQ gauge or whatever. Um, like you have to think about like mass, you have to think about polarization, you have to think about can my ship even fit through this wormhole? It's definitely harder PvP in my opinion, but I don't think it's end game PvP for anybody who like actually fights in wormholes.
Yeah. I think it can be, but it doesn't have to be, right? Just like you can have end game PvP content in nullsec, but it doesn't have to be.
Question for Mick: are there any third-party tools that you think would benefit wormholers aside from the current tools?
Ooh, like new ones?
Yeah.
Someone had the idea the other day, again, posted a wormhole event that I thought was really cool. It's not necessarily a third-party tool, but it's one that I would love to have incorporated into the fleet composition readout for when you're like a fleet boss, and that's just fleet mass.
Oh
Being
yeah.
able to look at all of the ships in your fleet and understand, okay, I've got 500 mil mass here. I can go through this wormhole 5 times before I have to start sweating about it. Um, but in terms of like new third-party tools of things that are in the game that don't currently exist, I mean, wormholes have been around so long, and there hasn't been a lot that's changed with wormholes that I feel like it's the third-party solution system is pretty solved. Um, I nothing off the top of my head screams out as like a we're missing this third-party tool and there's a gap here that we should address.
Um.
Maybe no, because that exists too. Yeah, no, I can't think of anything.
Uh. Which is your preferred mapping tool for like mapping down chains?
Right now we're using Wanderer, but I've used all of them. I've used except for Galaxy Finder. I never got behind Galaxy Finder. Um, but I think my favorites in order are Wanderer, Pathfinder, which are basically the same. Siggy, Tripwire, and then else. Everything else underneath that.
Yeah, like Wingspan still uses Tripwire, but my C5 group
Mhm.
we use Wanderer, and I really like how Wanderer looks. Is
Yeah, and they're
there?
very active. They're developers.
Yeah, 100%. Oh my god, things are constantly changing.
Yeah,
Um,
sometimes the release from the morning is different than the release like 2 hours later, and you're like, dang it,
and
I
it's
got
not a
update
bad
again.
thing. It's not a bad thing. We need those passionate developers, 100%.
For sure.
Do you think CCP should introduce some sort of in-game mapping tool for wormholers, or is that going to be too hard for them?
The question is more opportunity cost, I think. It's like, do I want them to spend the time putting a mapping tool together, or would I rather them focus on creating the granary? Like
Yeah,
it it's hard because I can see the benefit for sure from like a new bro perspective of what's this thing? I just jumped in. Whoa, what have I just done? Like what happens? A new screen pops up, it's got your case-based system and now this new wormhole you're now in. I I can see the benefit to it, but I'm hesitant to support it because of the amount of time that I would expect it would take. If it was easy, I feel like we would already see it.
yeah, for sure. Manny the Miner asks, "What kind of shoes are you wearing?"
Uh, let's see. They're all birds.
Nice, sick.
Allbirds. I got some wool runner tree dasher Allbirds size 11.
Cool, awesome. Sweet. I think that's it for. Okay. Can you please ask CTP? Zala, do you just want to come into comms really quick, or
Hop in, dude.
he
Let's
should?
go.
He's my co CEO. So I'm mad that he's not here. Can you please ask CTP to remove the restriction of bookmarks in a bookmark folder, or allow us to online more than three? Oh my God, Zala the man is actually here.
There he is. Yeah, nah, this is bookmarks are something that I've continued to push for since day one. It was kind of like the one big thing that I was upset we couldn't get done as far as like the QOL pass for wormholes. I have two things that I want for bookmarks. I want more in a singular folder, and I want to be able to connect to more folders. Whether that's 5, 6, 10, whatever, I think you should have a limit that's way higher than 500, and you should also be able to online at least 5 different folders. Oh, yes, and more granularity. We should also be able to have more granularity in the timing. If we want to be able to set a timer for 3 hours or a wormhole bookmark for 8 hours, 16 hours, 36 hours, whatever it is, I want to be able to just go on a slider or type in how many hours I want it to last and be able to keep that.
Yeah, a lot of things, a lot of wormhole, sorry, not wormhole, CSM members are talking about granularity. Like we need more granularity in Eve. Some people are saying we need a little bit less granularity in different ways, but I do think yeah, adding a little bit more choice for like different parts of the game could make things a little bit more fun and interactive and just easier to control, like giving players more agency for different things probably going to make them feel a little bit better.
We
Zyler.
actually
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
we I was gonna say one thing that we got in terms of like a bookmark recommendation was if a certain type of item is being saved as a bookmark, that the system should have a memory of, oh, last time this type of item was saved, it went into this folder under this category. I thought that was a really cool idea. Granted, it's only a few clicks to like change things around,
Yeah.
but in terms of, user experience, that's a huge UX upgrade, which I think would be pretty cool.
Yeah. One thing I can foresee happening though is that in certain people's home holes, this happened to me when I was bashing AO structures in Providence. We somehow got access to their Providence bookmark folders. And when I was warping
Nice.
around in Provi, I would lag because there were so many bookmarks in like cerns and like YTAC M, for example. I would like just warp and then just like lag as the all the like bookmark locations start appearing as I'm warping around. Like yeah, there should be like some sort of limits on how many bookmarks there are, but I also agree that we do need more in order to help like wormholers, especially just like we need like all the extra space that we can get in order to be able to do the sort of the stupid things that we want to do. Let's see somebody. Um, the one guy just messaged me. Oh no, I forgot the time. What a jerk. Zyler, hey, do you have any questions for Mick?
I think I've asked them all already.
Oh well, god damn it. Why are you here even? It's all good, dude.
Classic.
I'm just here for the vibes now.
Oh, sick. Awesome. Yeah. Another handsome homie.
I wouldn't say I'm handsome.
I beg to differ.
That's okay. We just did. Boom.
Boom.
I've got a heck of a beard. Let's go with that.
Hell yeah.
Makes Jotun look like a fool.
Oh,
Don't tell him I said
don't
that,
say
please.
that. Don't say that. He's probably watching. Oh my god. You're gonna get us
Oh no, I'm in
you're gonna
trouble.
get us
You.
evicted.
Yeah. He'll do it. He don't care. He'll do it.
I took an honor brawl against Jotun in my hole, and it didn't end well for us. But you know what? We made friends.
I do actually have a question, and I guess if this kind of hits a little too hard, just tell me shut up. But when you're looking at other wormhole groups such as ours, which is a smaller wormhole group, compared to the larger wormhole groups where you have the wormhole CFC, do you think perhaps those types of coalitions could be a detrimental thing to smaller groups like ours?
Certainly could be. Yeah. It's all situational, right? Large groups in any area of Eve are always going to be able to pick on the little guy. There's, you know, you could make that argument. The one thing that I will say is that's nice about wormholes is no matter how big you are, everyone gets the same amount of mass. Everyone gets the same amount of time in terms of wormhole mass and wormhole connections, things like that, outside of frig holes, of course, which is a whole other thing. But yeah, it could be. It could be. I look at, if I look at a series of the operations that the Wormhole CFC has done over the past year, I think it was, I'll probably get this wrong, but um, the Keepstar eviction of Avanta, which was in October of last year, I think, so a year ago, and the Keepstar eviction of Forsaken Few. I've probably missed one in the middle there, and if I did, I apologize. But those are the memorable ones, right? The ones that stand out, and those groups were rather large. Now, Avanto didn't have the luxury of having anybody rolling and getting assets and connections, and they were also capital class hulls, so you were able to like actually seed in force multipliers in there, whereas Forsaken Few had the capital advantage and a large group inside, and but that would ended up being a way better fight than the Avanto one, even though both sides did put up fights, which were very honorable.
It's probably not a CSM directed question, so sorry.
No, it's fine. I think it's totally valid. You're talking about large groups and their ability to punch up or punch down.
Well,
Yeah.
Again,
it's not so much being able to punch up, because once you have all the large groups working in tandem, who are they punching up to? A null block? Probably not. But um, it's more just curiosity of, with wormhole CFC being a thing like that, could they be deterring people from coming in, because that could be, they could show up at your doorstep any minute for any reason, right? At least that's what it feels like to the smaller groups, right?
yeah. Well, I think what happens is the smaller groups see these BRs where there's 200 people, on the side shooting at Fortizar, sometimes even more than 200, and you look at that and you think, how the heck would we ever deal with that, right? Um, when I look at the actions, what I'd like to look at is the actual actions of the Wormhole CFC. They've predominantly aggressed those who have aggressed them. Avanto was part of Hull Control that did not want to be part of like the peace agreements as a result of the Wormhole War that ended last year, and Forsaken Few was the final end of the war in heaven, if you will, again at the end of that war. They haven't really sought out others, but I can see how the size of that coalition can be very daunting and concerning. But to my knowledge, they don't just like the Wormhole CFC does not deploy against like 5, 10, 50-man groups. They could, but it's not something that they actively seek out. But
I
that's
got you.
hard. That's hard to rationalize from like if you're a small guy, because in the back of your mind you're always like, well, they may not seek me out, but the threat is still there, and so I can understand why that would be concerning or a
Well,
detriment.
yeah, absolutely. Like with a group like our size, I think we have like 30 heartbeats, maybe less than that. When you have a C5 that has a C5 static, and you're directly connected to Hard Knocks, 405, and 909 Laserhawks, you're like, oh shit, here it comes. You know what I mean? Like, what? This has happened to me, Mick. This has happened to us, and it's just like any minute, here come the dreads. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Good.
oh, sorry to interrupt. I remember somebody told me that we were Hard Knocks, or somebody voted on whether or not they should evict the C5 streamer, and they said no. So whoever said no, thank you. But it just but again, that sort of stuff is just sort of pervasive, I think, in just the greater Eve community. It's just like, I asked the other like the nullsec CSMs or what are they going to do to help like with the smaller groups, and I just hope that when we're like it's I think you're very clearly thinking about the smaller groups, but again, just as somebody who's like a small group, we that is something that we do talk about quite a bit. It's just like what would happen if suddenly instead of thumbs up, yes, keep Shad the streamer around in a C5, it just turns into thumbs down, hey, he shaved his mustache, kick him out, we don't like him anymore.
You know what my honest thought is on that though? Now that we've kind of talked about it a bit, because I think the truth is there needs to be more fun stuff to do in
Yeah.
wormholes.
Agreed.
What do we have right now? Skirmishers
Uh,
and brawls and evictions. Ooh.
you don't find scanning a chain fun, Mick? Huh?
Oh man, how could I forget? How could I
Damn.
forget?
Damn.
All right, you know what? Wormholes are fine. I forget it. We don't need any changes.
No,
Like-
no. Please give me bare moons. Give me more than just huffing gas. Anything.
No, yeah,
Well,
absolutely. And you're right, Mick. It comes down to boredom. You have those two great things that could be potentially high risk, high isk things, right? But what else is there after that? And I think you're right. I think that's the problem.
yeah, and that's and honestly, I think not only would if let's say a miracle happens, I get to wave a magic wand and all of a sudden everything I want in Wormhole Space happens. We get all these content drivers and all these changes. There's Rorquals out. There's people that are hunting out of their secondary or tertiary static if you're in a C2 or C4. Like we'll see not just a revitalization of Wormhole Space, we'll see people that become masters of that gameplay style. We'll see people that become masters of granary fighting. See people that become masters of like J-Hub customization, things like that. That would just be like so cool to see. And then that competition to be the best or better than the next is one of the things that will continue to drive like that level of content that I really want to see come back to Wormholes.
It's awesome. I think that's a really good.
I'm for it.
Yeah, no, that's perfect. Yeah. I'm like one thing that I'm really happy about you, Mick, is that you have some sort of goal in mind being on the CSM. And then you're very much like, hey, this is exactly what I want. And like I'm super gun ho and you're very passionate about what you're doing. You're thinking about not just your group, you're thinking about all the people that are in Wormhole Space, and I really thank you for that.
Well, it's easy to be passionate about it when you're surrounded by a community that's just as passionate. So I'm lucky because y'all have come together and are actually participating in a healthy and constructive way in Wormhole UN. It makes my job so much easier, and that's really the blessing right there. But thank you.
Cool. Um,
One last question.
yeah.
This is CSM related. When Logi on Kill Mill, please.
You know, you never know. Could be tomorrow. Could be never. It's not, it would be cool. It would be cool to see that.
Tired of bringing around warriors with me.
Yeah. You're not an EC 300 gamer? Oh man,
I
come
might be
on.
now.
You know what you should do though? Here's the real Chad maneuver. Put in a Caldari Navy Warden.
Just one single one.
Then you can just drop it off and then just assign it to a buddy and collect your kill mills while you rep your friends.
Nice. That's a good idea.
That's actually a great
There you
idea.
go.
This is why
Elite hacks.
this is why you're going for CSM and I'm a filthy casual streamer. Awesome. Well, I think I'll let you go here, Mick. That's a really positive way to end the interview. Again, thanks for spending your time with me, and I hope to see you in Wormhole Space.
Likewise, thanks again for having me on, and thanks to everyone for asking the questions. Keep them coming. Reach out to me. Hit up the forums. Hit a Wormhole UN, and we'll get this term 2 going.
Sweet.
Thanks, Mick.
All right,
Happy
take
one.
care, y'all.
Bye. That was fun. Thank you for coming, Zyler. I appreciate you as well, my dude.
No problem. See ya.
Hey. Cool. Why should a minority of players have equal voice to the majority? Changes to Wormhole Space affect all space? Yeah, like I completely agree. Like having like wormhole space is a very very small percentage of the player base. But it's a very passionate group, and I feel like it shouldn't be something that gets neglected. Like we are going to probably like I'm not going to like I know who I'm voting for. Mick is probably going to be one of the people that I end up voting for, just because he has like from CSM 19. I don't know if it's just been a CCP change, like internal change, but a lot of good things have changed. And I feel like he's going to be somebody that's going to help push for good change as well. We should have somebody who is advocating for different areas of space and is able to collaborate with the other members on the CSM. Yeah, and that's totally fine if that's your opinion, lacking talent. Like we're going to who's the Pochman guy? Sorry, I shouldn't say who's this guy, but um Drake Giddin. I think he's the Pochman candidate. I feel like his voice shouldn't be any less than maybe like somebody who's like a high sec candidate or a null sec candidates, because those areas of space shouldn't be forgotten, and they should be changed, and we should have people who are very knowledgeable and very connected to those communities to help drive those changes. um I think changes should be looked at macro than micro, but I'm not trying. Oh yeah. No, it's totally fine. It's totally fine. Um, I do think that we should have individuals on the CSM who are very educated and very passionate about these smaller communities, because those communities also matter, right? Um, like we're going to have people on the CSM that are null sectors. We're going to have people who are null sectors, but they care very passionately about the high sector groups. We have people who are very Nubro oriented, um, and some of those groups are going to be very very big, and they're going to impact CCP's bottom line if they are ignored. And we're going to have smaller groups in that are going to be on the CSM that are also going to be impacting like much smaller groups. And if we were to just forget about those smaller groups, then we're going to throw away people who are like not who are in this niche but also like are a niche of a niche. Why am I not running for CSM Shad Squatch? Because the time zones, honestly. um yeah, I was thinking about like going for CSM this year, but I think that's a terrible idea. um yeah, I don't know. I think I have good ideas, but yeah, I have too many hats on already. Me being able to come downstairs to interview people about spaceship stuff. I'm like my wife is absolutely fantastic and I love her to death. But if it wasn't for her, I would not be able to do what I'm doing. So I have to use my spare time wisely. Also, I feel like CSM interviews are going to be more EU based than Mountain Time Zone based. So should have no. I'm still trying to become a trillionaire in Eve very very slowly. Um, breaks your Eve soul. Look at how many multi-term CSMs don't play the game. Yeah, I feel like a lot of them might be like bitter vets, but this is coming from a like an older crew that I feel like could still be very connected to their communities. Um, join Realm space needs more unique stuff. If you have something in J space and K space, nobody would ever invest time. Yeah, like from my personal experience with wormhole space, um, I've sort of like I know this is going to sound really bad for my friends who I live inside my wormhole with, but I feel like things are very solved from my perspective. I've been living inside my wormhole for a number of years at this point. And besides, and like I have been very blessed to have to have started doing recruiting, and I have met some very fantastic individuals through like this recruiting process. But the wormhole gameplay, for me, is grab my wormhole once a week, scan down chains to bring in stuff to take out stuff, and to maybe huff gas if I have an hour in the evening after I put my kids to bed and I'm not streaming and my wife is watching a show or something. I feel like in order to bring more people into the game and into wormhole space, we need to like reinvent. We need to make it better for the older crowd, and we need to make it so that more people want to go and try it out. Right? Like I don't need suddenly 1,000 players dropping down sticks on moons because now wormhole space is the best place to make ISK. Sometimes it is, sometimes it isn't. But I feel like there has to be some sort of change to wormhole space to make it more fun for me as an individual. And I need it to not be just like it's just nullsec 2.0, or it can't just be like we're going to change the Pochvin sites so that they have a wormhole skin over top. I really like Mick's ideas of like there being like some sort of medium objective that wormholers can go after, and they'll get some sort of bonus. I like that there's going to be talks about like, hey, we're going to throw a bone to industrialists. I just hope that this is going to drive more content to wormhole space, because Eve is like a content game, right? It shouldn't just be like, oh, I'm going to close my hole and I'm just going to I'm going to do my farm hole thing and I'm going to fuck off and go join my nullsec block, right? Cool. Making chat comically big behind. I could, yeah. I don't know. I was thinking about like adding effects to this so that things can change. But what I anyways, focusing on just like lacking talents questions, or just we love her for sharing with us. In my opinion, wormhole space needs more unique stuff. We already talked about that. What about fake applause? I was going to set that up on my stream deck for this week, but I never got around to it because I'm an idiot. Maybe Zyler can quickly find me like a sound just to play. I don't know. I'm busy trying to be a good host. You don't need to be a trillionaire to enjoy Eve. You just need to be able to find. I think the thing that's going to be the thing that's going to keep people around for like the new player experience isn't like, hey, this is how you play the game. I think that's very important. I've said a couple times this week already that my biggest gripe with CCP bringing on like bigger talents than myself, obviously I'm a nobody, right? And this is I'm a nobody and I have 142 people just listening to me fucking rants on shit. But my biggest gripe is that they never try to get these bigger streamers or bigger content creators to show the social side of the game. There are a gajillion people who are begging, please, this is how you undock. Hey, this is the ship you should fly. Please let me help you. And the bigger content creators, they're doing their own thing, and I think CCP needs to do a better job of showing just how awesome the social experience is of Eve. Sorry, mustache scan doesn't work here. You're everything to us. I think yeah, they need to do a better job of bringing people into the game, and I think having like obviously like we have some really big creators, but to get new blood into the game, we need to have some sort of person who's guiding these like larger content creators to show just like what the game can really offer to a newer player, besides just like, man, this like I don't know how to undock, how do I shoot this thing, this is the most boring shit I've ever seen, like yeah, lacking talent. So I try to talk to every CSM member as like what is their plan for here. We'll just do mustache cam just to keep people happy here. I know people, I'm starting to lose people here. Let's just go like this really quick. Oh, and I need to get like a green screen for my face so it's nothing but just mustache. There we go. Okay, cool. Isn't it hard to find time to play? What's your take on life balance making Eve more time constraint friendly? More people in the sandbox also does this. Free mustache. I just refund. Thank you, Faye. You were absolutely amazing. I love you, buddy. Um, my take for Eve is that it's very slow. Right now, like the thing that's restricting for me as somebody who, like, I used to, and I'm trying to start hosting MPSI roams at least once a week again. It's my average rates of finding content. It's about 15 minutes. Um, that's not including form up. Form up can take up to 30 minutes to 45 minutes on average. Like I'm now at the point is like, if you're not in Jita ready to undock, fuck you, I'm leaving without you. You can catch the next ride. But for me, and a bunch of my older friends who have like I'm a teacher, so I can't stay up till 2 in the morning looking for capitals and nullsec or whatever. I need to find something to go fight right now. MPSI roams, it can take up to 15 minutes to find anything to tackle or anything to hunt. And a lot of the times it just warps off immediately. So I feel like bringing in more people to the game or giving us more sort of challenging PvE experiences could be a great way to make the game a little bit more enjoyable for somebody who has like limited game time. Because again, we're a very very much so aging audience. We need to make sure that we're able to cater to people who have like full-time jobs. We have like families, that sort of thing. And also because just like how like gaming culture is right now, like there are a whole bunch of weirdos and really and like really cool people out there that like Eve is like, this is like you just started playing this year, that's crazy, that's so cool. But we need to start catering to maybe just like a slightly larger audience. Yeah. What content is commonly considered valid and invalid for wormhole space? Like valid. So like it's easier for me to talk about things that aren't valid for me per se in wormhole space. um Gideon, Kilonova, and Hyotech, thanks for following, by the way. I totally missed out on those. Things that I know that are just absolutely terrible is just anything that's related to industry. I know Oris talked about just like nullsec taxes is the exact same stuff as the exact same tax as in wormhole space. Um, you get the same sort of bonuses as you would in nullsec as you do in wormhole space. So there's, if I'm an industrialist and I'm just a pure industrialist, there's no reason for me to do stuff in wormhole space. I will have better access to markets. I'll have better access to just about everything that I need to do in order to build ships inside my wormhole if I just do it outside my wormhole. Right? Like we have R4 moons, which are the shittiest moons inside the entire game. We do get mining anomalies, but we're limited to what sort of ore we get inside of our wormhole. And we don't even like Nice right now is, I think, is expensive, but I don't do it at all. Hey Millens. You have a lot of people tonight. So like I think things that aren't valid right now in wormhole space is like mining or sort of like anything that's like something that an industrialist would like to take care of. What else? What's valid? Hunting people in wormhole space is always valid. Scanning chains, I know Zaller and Mick, we joked about like, oh, a scanning chain sucks, but that's just the reality of wormholes. I like to sort of explain wormholes as it's like a little bit of a maze. If you know somebody else's maze, you have a huge advantage over top of them. So like scanning is just part of that gameplay loop. Spun filaments went through holes long periods of time with no content. As space can be really empty at times. Outside of literally, yeah. There's an advantage for, well, so there's like shattered wormholes. So shattered wormholes are very very rare wormholes for you to come across sometimes. And you can't put a POS inside a shattered wormhole, but they are crazy money generators. So yeah, so like that's the only way for us to get ice inside of our wormhole. Either we have a nullsec or a low sec, sorry, like we have a case-based connection, or you are temporarily connected to a shatter wormhole, and those are some of the most dangerous wormholes in all of New Eden, or outside of New Eden, somewhere in New Eden. So, so scanning and hunting are okay. Doing combat sites is also a fantastic way of generating income. What else? Gas huffing is really, really good. So people make a crap ton of ISK just making money from doing that sort of stuff. But yeah, industry in general, so industry or just like ore mining takes a huge fucking L. Cool.